Welcome to a meeting of Game Pass Anonymous. My name is Ren Benolds, and I play Game Pass. This is a podcast where we have in-depth discussions of games currently on Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass. This week, we finished up A Plague Tale: Innocence, the 2019 stealth adventure game from Asobo Studio. Would anyone else care to share?
I'm Patrick the Law Morris, and I'm a gamer.
I'm Dracos559, and I'm a gamer.
Hi, Dracos.
Hi, Dracos. Hi, Law.
I am Tim Rackenai Miller, and I'm beginning to think that I have a problem.
Well,
Hi, Rackenai.
hi, Rackenai. Everyone's welcome here.
It's true. We are. So, the second half of what we were all feeling like was a very, very positive game when we left this place last week. Let's talk about where with our so the main four things that we focused on last week was the pacing, the storytelling, the puzzles, and the combat. I think we can just go ahead and throw puzzles out.
Yes.
Because there weren't really puzzles in this half.
I would say it was
there
closer
were-
to like a third of the game.
There were a couple, but they were kind of rehashes from like the first.
Yeah.
You did.
Oh yeah, you did redo the rats in the castle.
Yeah.
That kind of disappointed me. I was like, "Oh, I'm doing this again. I've done this already. I'm kind of bored of it."
Yeah, it was
That was a little boring.
it was fresh and good the first time, tired and bad the second time.
Yeah.
And then I guess before you got the rat power with the little kid, when you were like, that was kind of a sneaking puzzle, but it was really just like kind of a stealth. It was just a stealth mission.
Yeah. That's
I mean, I wouldn't say there's no puzzles. There were puzzles. I know personally I didn't enjoy them as much. Plenty of them, it's like, okay, like, there is a smart way to solve it that, like, involves using 5 different types of ammo that I have to resupply later on. Or I could just use the Luminoso or whatever and clear out the rats and solve the puzzle that way. And yeah, I'm using up a like rare material, but like didn't feel like a cost savings to use the like multiple things to do it. Like for instance that the like where you had to push the box to the side and then like move the rats one way and then a different way and trap them with the lights.
oh
You remember
yeah.
that going into the going into the lab?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I guess
was,
there were definitely some puzzles early on in this half.
and
they were definitely not as fun.
Yeah.
And the game, I feel like, kind of tried to, like, it presented optional puzzles, like when you're headed back. I think it's when you're headed into the lab. Ethan, I think it might even be the puzzle that you're talking about. But like when you're headed back to like Amicia's home, and you find those guys that are like basically immobilized and they're dying, and there is a dialogue option for Amicia to say like, oh well, they're already dead, like we didn't need to do anything. And so I know that the game, it's possible to not kill those guys, and I tried, but I could not figure out how.
I didn't care. I just murdered them.
What you had to do was you essentially had to throw the thing to attract them near the wagon, and then run across to the guy by the wagon, and then you had to essentially get the rats trapped in the very far back, and then relight the fire, and that would trap all the rats, and you just had kind of free reign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just killed him.
Yeah, I was like, all right, you're in my way. I need to get moving.
Yeah,
I gotta
after,
finish this
like-
game.
Yeah, by that point, I had switched to using a guide.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
was just
I was like,
because I was starting to get frustrated, and like I realized that like by like because I didn't do anything with the stealth upgrades at all for a long time, because I was just like, fuck it, I'll just kill people. And then I was like, oh wow, it would have been very helpful to have better stealth for a lot of this shit.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, Frustration City, like, the last third of this game was very frustrating. Like,
Yeah, I almost threw my controller, which I haven't done in a long
oh
time.
yeah,
And I think it's just because it's like all of it. It's just like, yep, one hit, you're dead, or like, oh, you're seen and you're dead. Like,
yeah,
it's just so, or oh, the rats touched you and you're dead. But at least there's not as much of that in the very end of it.
I mean,
You're in control of the rats.
yeah, I guess that was true. To me, it felt like there was like ultimately what I think the problem boiled down to was the game was so methodical in the beginning that like it was so methodical in the beginning and so well designed, and they designed gameplay for that type of they built the gameplay around the level design to be a very slow, methodical, intentional effort. And then to ramp up like the excitement, they introduce a lot of things like boss fights and whatnot towards the end of the game that just required way too much nimble movement of the player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then having like the allies were clumsy too.
Yeah.
Like there was that one part where when you were going with Lucas and what's her name, the chick, and when you were going at the very end to go kill what's his name, the Grand Inquisitor, and they're in the courtyard too, and you have to take out the guys, and there's the two guys who are standing like basically on like the gallows or something, and they had bows, and then there was like 3 or 4 guys kind of patrolling. That part was so fucking frustrating because every time I would kill one of them, and then somehow some guy would find the two, Lucas and fucking the other bitch, and start killing them. And so I would try and kill that guy, and then like it just turned into a shit show.
Yeah.
Fucking over and over again, like over and over again, and it was just because they were stupid.
Yeah.
And I think it's partially because I think I hadn't upgraded my stealth, so that like I would just be louder when I would do things. Because that's like the other things like that I started to realize is that some of the stealth stuff was like almost passive stuff that just made you just quieter. And I was just like, oh, I'm just louder, I guess, because I didn't upgrade these things. And so it was just like, this is fucking frustrating.
Huh.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to upgrade my stealth early on, so I kind of had an easy time for a lot of that stuff. Especially the boss fight that was in the courtyard there with the knight. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
Nicholas. Yep. So there were those 2, I guess, circular platforms on each side that you could walk around, and because my stealth was fully upgraded, I just kept crouching and kiting him around that until he couldn't see me, and then boop, he's dead. It didn't really take all that long, but
I was having to literally like run and then get to a point where I could hide and then just hope that he wouldn't see me, and then he would go and relight some fires or relight his arm or whatever, and then to put that shit back out and put it all back out, and then I'd finally get him and attack him and shit. But it was just like, fuck, that was ridiculously, like, my roommate can attest to how fucking pissed off I was getting at it. Like, I was fucking a little bit livid during that.
Yeah, and I mean, I like Ben, it sounds like I had a pretty similar experience to you as far as like I guess kind of between the two of you. because Tim, I was doing the same thing where I was running around the circular buildings until I lost him. But then Ben, like he was doing for you, he would just go relight the fires, and as soon as you start putting out those fires, he's relighting. He sees you, and it's like, well, great. This is fucking useless.
Huh.
Ethan, what did you have with that one?
Yeah. I mean, I had feels like a really different experience. I mean, similar to Tim, like I had good enough stealth that I just walked around one of those circular things and he lost me.
Okay.
So it's crazy hearing that without those stealth upgrades, just how different it is. I don't know if I ever had a situation where he was relaying the fires aside from on himself.
Oh.
I don't.
Yeah, no, it was incredibly frustrating. He was constantly relighting everything.
It could have been that I just didn't notice, or the fact that, like, as soon as I was back in stealth, I was immediately hitting him with a put him out and try and throw rats at him. The problem I had was the rats, like, not going through a fire, and then I'm like, just go around it, idiot.
Yeah, they were very straight line of sight. And that was a huge pain in the ass.
I guess I was also trying to put all of the fires out.
Oh, okay.
Really come out, like, because it seemed like that made it better. Like if you had all the fires out.
I think you're accurate, but yeah, then it's just then you have to try and keep all the fires out with him apparently relaying them. Maybe he's more likely to relight them if more are out.
Maybe. I had them all out because for the fucking life of me, I could not get rats to attack him if there were any fires.
Yeah, that's what I was experiencing.
Yeah, I was able to do them like one at a time. I didn't have any issue.
Yeah,
well, like I could get the like rat, the like nests one by one, but like I needed the three big like ground fires out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I just had to put out like whatever one was in between them and him.
Huh.
Is why I finally realized, okay, I have to do this.
Yeah, and
that to me
but
was.
I think
like,
if I'd had better
annoying,
stuff, that
okay.
would have probably been easier.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's something I noticed about the game. Your upgrades were very pivotal on certain points of it. If you didn't... Like, I was having huge trouble with the section where you had to push the cart and hide behind it. I just couldn't... I could not attack and kill the guards fast enough. They just kept coming. And I realized it was just because my reload speed and sling speed were terrible.
Gotcha.
So I reloaded my save and I bought different upgrades and it made it easier. But that was by far the worst section in this game, if you ask me.
Oh, really?
The most trouble with that. I think I spent maybe an hour trying to do that one fucking thing. Because I kept getting hit by arrows just slightly over the fence.
Yeah.
As I was walking down to it. It was just bullshit.
So when I got to that part that I was talking about earlier, the fucking 2 guys with the bows and then the 4 guys patrolling, I fucking quit and just watched and literally just watched the rest of the game on YouTube.
Wow.
After the probably 20th time of just like the fucking Lucas and what's her name getting fucking killed, I was just like, fuck this. I'm just gonna watch the end of this game on YouTube. Like I was like, I literally know that I'm right there. And it's probably going to be a very frustrating boss fight there in there too.
That it was.
But yeah, it looked like it would have been. So I watched the boss fight on YouTube though. So,
but
I know what it was, but yeah, I just watched.
Yeah. As just kind of a point of reference, I would consider like the last half of the game, like most of it was just like annoying to me. That boss fight was the one thing that was like actually kind of infuriating, though, for me.
So I want to point out, and maybe this is a good thing. We all have points in the game because I would say the most frustrated I was fighting Nicholas.
Yeah,
we all have different points at which we were most frustrated.
Yep,
and at which we were borderline ready to quit. Like I was, Tim, you said you were about to throw a controller. I was very, very close. had it not been my Elite Series 2, I like maybe would have. But I'm not going to throw a $200 controller, so
weird flex.
Yeah, that's one of those things. I remember with the 360, I used to like
twist,
fucking just crank on those controllers. Yeah. But I have not had an issue with that. Like, I think it's just like at some point during the 360's life span, I just kind of was like, fuck, these are very expensive. Like, I can't just get angry and break them.
Yeah, it's a pretty costly mistake. No, but I do think that maybe to the game's credit, it's like we all had different major points of frustration. And so based on different builds, there were different difficulty spikes. Yeah. But I think the fact that those difficulty spikes all exist no matter what build you have, it's gonna be.
So the guide that I was reading was like blah blah blah. If you have all like this guide was like a completionist guide, and you would basically be able to get every single upgrade, and it was just like, okay, yeah, that would like I wish I had known that I should just have been playing with a completionist eye in mind, so that then the game will just be simpler at the end. But I did not, and I felt like the game was almost too punishing for the fact that I did not do that.
Yeah, see, I'd really like to look through this guide, because I felt like I spent a decent amount of time looking for materials and such to upgrade everything when I could.
Yeah.
And I still didn't have enough to even come close. I think I maybe got 70% of the way there.
Yeah,
that's like,
I had similar experience.
There was like, so I started it partway through a chapter, and I thought that I had like gone through most of the chapter, but I had missed like 4 to 5 paragraphs of just like shit that I could have gone and got, and I was just like
4 to 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I was just like, fuck. Like, and it's like, and that's the other thing is you can't go back.
And not only can you not go back like to areas or to levels, you like there are points in the levels that it cuts you off from like what you've just gone through. Mm-hmm. It's essentially like get everything in every single area on your first try, or at some point at the end of the game you're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's fucking like, which I mean, I guess is kind of a credit to them for creating that deep of a maze, but
overall I liked it.
It's a punishing maze.
Yeah. Overall, I liked it until the last half. I mean, to be fair, like Tim, I was spending a fair amount of time like, okay, like that looks like something. Let me figure out how to go over there and get those materials. So I never experienced how punishing it could be if you don't have certain upgrades, really. But I did like up until the last half, the like, okay, like I've got to try and find everything really quickly in this area that I can, and then move on. And it also played into the fun of the ammo economy of like, okay, like I could use, this special bit of ammo to kill all these guards, but that's going to decrease my resources, which means I can't do the permanent upgrades. So I'm going to try and stealth through as much as I can.
Yeah, and so Ethan, I'm glad you mentioned the ammo economy, because you were talking about that earlier, and I do feel like that's where the game is at its best, is when it's giving you options, and like when there are so many different ways to approach a puzzle, and each way requires different ammunition. And so maybe Ben, like you said, you just leaned way into like Ignifer, I think it was. But then like I used the dousing one, the one that like that put out fires so much, because it was, I felt like much more of an offensive move.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there is that, to the game's credit, there is that, like The ammo economy gives you options and opens up different ways to play the game.
Yeah. I felt like the balance on that was really tight at the end of the first half we played. I feel like in the second half, then they're like, okay, where do we go from here? Oh, let's get puzzles that use like all of your ammo in multiple ways to do it. And I'm like I realize that it's just using like resources that are relatively cheap and abundant in the area, but it's like, okay, if I'm having to use like 5 different types of ammo, why don't I just use the kill all rats in this area ammo?
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I can solve the puzzle but feel unsatisfied because I don't feel like I did it efficiently, or I can do that and be like, yeah, fuck it, give up, which also isn't satisfying.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
And I feel like they gave you the rat power too early. And
yeah,
go ahead, Tim.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, if we're gonna start getting into that story-wise, I think the rat power fucking absolutely killed the game for me. I think absolutely fucking stupid.
I do think we should start getting into the storytelling and because the pacing and the storytelling, I'd say, are tied together pretty heavily.
Yeah,
and so I don't know. You did not like the rat power, Tim?
I absolutely hated it. It made the game too easy at that point. It was like, okay, I'm gonna just splash them with water. Rats go. I'm just gonna keep walking.
Yeah,
I don't think I stealthed through it any of the last section because of it.
And that's why I say that they gave it to you too early, because it's like, I mean, what if Half-Life 2? What if Half-Life 2 had given you the blue gravity gun in the prison, right? Like that would have been too much power too soon, and that would have been stupid.
Your word for it.
But I don't know. I just feel like they gave you too much power too quickly, and then they because I understand like at the end of a video game kind of giving you that power trip, and that's like Doom Eternal did that really well. Half-Life 2 did that really well. Control did that incredibly well. Oh my god, I loved that.
Spider-Man to some extent.
Yeah, no, the Ox suit was the anti-Ox suit was pretty cool. But I just felt like, I don't know. I felt like they gave you the power too soon, and then they did not give you the power trip, because when they gave you the power, they ramped up the difficulty way hard versus giving you.
So that was the thing. I just felt like the power was very clunky.
Yeah,
like
it
it's
was
like you're supposed to. It's like, oh yeah, here's great power, but this is probably one of the worst mechanics of this game.
It was very point and click. You had a pool of rats, you click on one location, they just beeline it for that location. They don't go around anything, they just straight for it, which caused a lot of issue for certain puzzles. Like, okay, if you could have just walked around this one barrier, you could have easily gotten him, but no, he instead shot me in the face. Well, so thanks.
And the CPU had no way of countering the rats.
Yep. Could you keep Roderick alive?
No.
Is that possible?
No.
You could not take out the archers.
I
tried taking out the archers for a while and was just like, yeah, this seems like it's going to be very, very difficult if it's even possible.
No, so
10 at most in my best attempt at doing that.
10 archers?
In my best attempt at doing that, I got so lucky. Like, he was pushing me with the cart, and I was just lining them up and knocking them down.
I did not bother with archers.
Then I ran out of rocks and was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I did not even try.
I tried twice.
He still got hit with arrows, though, and I was just like, all right, this is just not worth it. Once I was like, all right, he's going to get hit anyways.
That's the thing.
He's not making it through this.
Because at first I was like, oh, is this going to be one of those things? There's a way where you can keep him alive, or like, is this he's just gonna die. But then, like, after a while, I'm not gonna be able to keep him alive. Like, I can barely beat fucking Nicholas.
Even if there is a way, Ben can't do it.
I just got fucking pissed at it. I was like, you know what? I don't care if you die or not. I just want to get the goddamn fucking section alive.
That's kind of where I got to.
Yeah, I tried twice, maybe 3 times, and then I was just like, I thought about it, and I was like, there's no, like, I thought about what kind of game this is, and I thought, there is no way that this game lets me keep him alive. So I just let him die. I was like, you're gonna take these arrows. So you could very easily swing this door open and hide, and you would be fine. But, like, I understand that this is supposed to be a dramatic, tense moment. But
I mean, I thought the door was open. It's just it didn't cover, like, his legs.
Yeah, he's also not as strong as he said he was, and slow as shit. So, you know what?
Stupid Roderick.
I'm sorry, Tim. Why don't you go out and push that card?
Tim would have done a great job.
Fine.
Tim would have done a great job, and he wouldn't have died like an asshole.
He would have opened the door and been immune from all arrows.
Yeah, totally.
Where'd he go?
He went to push the cart.
Come back with an arrow.
Tim just comes back, just totally destroyed with arrows, about to die. Dies on the podcast.
Tim, no!
I was saying we're going to see that cart go by your window soon, Pat.
Yeah, there we go. Oh, no, he just went to get an ice cream sandwich.
Done.
Tim, we were expecting you to come back with just full of arrows and dead. Turns out you can't save him.
I won, and I got ice cream.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
No, so, I mean, I felt like overall the story in this back half was much worse than the front half, except one thing, and I think that is, what's his name, the Grand Inquisitor. He was characterized really well. I liked him. He was very evil. He was well portrayed, and especially with this, like, what was that pastor in Texas's name that I sent you guys a picture of?
Oh yeah.
God, he looks just like him.
I don't know if I saw that.
Oh man, go back to it's in the core chat, Ben. You should go take a look. There's that pastor in Texas who's, like, refusing to shut his church down, and he looks just like the Grand Inquisitor in this game.
Lord.
Oh, Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I thought the Grand Inquisitor was really well characterized. He really shined as a villain. Nicholas was kind of faceless and worthless, I felt like, but the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, they didn't ever show Nicholas without the helmet.
Yeah. But I mean, I felt like I don't know. I felt like Nicholas wasn't great, but the Grand Inquisitor was.
I felt like Nicholas filled the role he was meant for, which is just like the hand of the bad guy, and just like a good, spooky, intimidating ass guy with the fucking, like, leather spike boots.
Yeah,
Vader-esque.
Cool.
Yeah, Vader-esque, I think.
The very powerful enforcer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually
worked
Who
well.
could just shrug off rats climbing all over him, but whatever.
Vader, I feel like, is a very apt comparison there, Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Vader was good. My issue with the Grand Inquisitor was less with him, but more with the direction the story went itself. I definitely got a very strong "Are we the baddies?" towards the end of the movie, because I'm like, okay, let's do like a full check of what's happening in this last chapter. They've gotten the rats mostly under control, and I'm coming in here releasing all of them,
summoning them up through the ground.
Summoning them up through the ground, sicking them on the people who have contained them, in my quest to not save the city from the plague, but just to fucking murder the guy who's like, I'm going to eradicate the plague all by myself and then everyone will love me. It's like, selfish reasoning, but his end goal is eliminate the plague, so does it really matter?
Can one of you guys explain to me why he could only control the white rats and you could control the black rats? It made no sense. They were all just rats.
Parody.
So that's remember when you were the Hugo and you were crawling through all the experimentation chambers with the guys doing the experiments on the rats? Those were the rats that he could control.
Oh, so they were designed for him to control.
Yeah. And I got that as well. It's something about if you feed the rats specifically blood of people or something, then somehow they turn into these, and probably do some other alchemist bullshit, they become these white rats. I can't answer why that makes it so that they only belong to him and the black rats belong to Hugo, though.
Yeah, I can't tell you why, but that seemed to be the sort of explanation as to...
Yeah, see,
what?
I still hate Hugo after all of this, so I kind of blocked that entire section out of my mind.
And then it was one of those things, the fucking veins appearing on him, and then all of a sudden they showed him one scene later and he just didn't have them anymore. And it was just I guess those went away when the whole thing got better, I guess.
Yeah. That's the question I'm more interested in, is it's yay, we solved our quest to kill the Grand Inquisitor and get my mother back, and then the plague disappeared. What?
Yeah, there was a lot that kind of just went away, and there was a lot that just went unexplained. I understand
maybe that's going to be in the sequel, A Plague Tale Deliverance.
Deliverance. A Plague Tale pornography. The opposite of Innocence. No, I their mom being alive was just kind of hand waved away, and I understand that the Grand Inquisitor wanted her alive to
because she was an alchemist,
get her knowledge.
Yeah, get her knowledge and whatnot. But I just feel like that wasn't at the beginning of the game, she felt very definitively dead. Not oh, she might be back. Not there wasn't that moment of when she's back where you connect the dots and you're oh wait, no, maybe she could have been alive. They definitely left that open. She felt super dead.
I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, but there was that scene when you were going back through the house of you came across the door and it's oh, this is where my mother died, and then you saw the body of some servant and it's oh, he took the blow for her. That's
where did he come from?
I didn't notice that.
If I remember correctly, he was back in the house when you first saw him. I don't know. It doesn't match up for me. I don't feel like he was able to get out there in time. Plot convenience.
Yeah.
Now that one I had less of an issue with the plot inconvenience. Why I had more of an issue with is okay, so the mom's alive. How did Hugo know? And just all of a sudden is okay, yeah, everything's fine at the castle. My mom's alive.
I'm running away.
This is causing a massive rift between me and my sister.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't the thief chick and her brother find out that their mom was alive?
Yeah.
And then they told, and then Hugo overheard it.
Oh no, that's right. That's right. Then and Amicia didn't want to tell him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what caused the rift. But
okay.
The thief chick and her brother Arthur, I felt were the worst characters.
I feel they were underused.
They just weren't developed at all.
Yeah.
Arthur got fucked. He threw a few barrels and then he got stabbed.
Yeah, and Amicia is this is what Arthur sacrificed himself for, and it's Arthur did not Arthur wanted to fucking leave. He did not. This was not some noble sacrifice. This was him saying I'm in a bad situation and I'm going to try and get out, but I died. That's what happened.
I also felt no sympathy when he fucking died, because Amicia's hey, go check that Lord Nicholas is dead. He was given one task. He had the rock over him, and then he's I forgot what I was doing.
Yeah.
Oh no, Lord Nicholas is stabbing me because I didn't do the one thing I was told to do.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a pretty bad character. I mean, the thief's sister wasn't all that much better. She was there to open doors for you and then get angry towards the end of the game, only to leave you at the very end.
Yeah. Her leaving at the very end, like not being there in the last chapter, felt like it felt like they were trying to build her up to this thing, and then they just
maybe she's gonna be the next Plague Tale.
Maybe I don't know.
Plague Tale retribution.
Like, I get she was pissed at Hugo and all that stuff and blaming him for it, but I mean, letting her go off into the world on her own with like no actual, like, I guess, closure. Felt really unsatisfying.
That's be the next game, a Plague Tale. Fuck yo sense.
It's before this back half, like last time we recorded, I was all on board for another Plague Tale game. After this, let's leave it. Let's leave it be.
I'm good with this here. I don't want any more. I'm probably never going to play anymore. Like,
well, let's talk about what we would rate what we would give it for a final rating.
Go ahead, Ben.
Let's start with Ethan. We'll start at the top and work our way down.
Yeah. And we probably are going to start at the top. I would still probably give it an 8 because the last half of the game really didn't feel that long. It felt like it was longer than it needed to be just because I was having to redo things bad. But like I was saying, a lot of it just felt like annoying a little bit until like the final boss fight, and that was the one bit I'm just like, okay, I know how to do this. This is frustrating. But like overall, they didn't find a clear way to wrap it up, but like it was still a really good experience on the whole, I think.
Okay.
On the whole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Preparation H was a great experience on the whole.
Okay.
Anyway, who's next?
Tim, you're next in top to bottom order.
So, I loved the first half of this game, but the second half of this game was just garbage. I was really worried last time we spoke about this that the second half of the game was going to be less than ideal, and I'm very sad to say that it was. The rat power, the rat power, absolutely hated it. Made the game way too easy for me. A lot of the stealth stuff went away, except for that one Hugo part. Everything turned into combat and throwing water at them.
And bad combat.
And then the unsatisfying conclusion, as we just said. Plus that goddamn fucking cart. So I got to give this a rating of 6. A great story up until the second half. It fell apart.
Fair enough. Patrick?
So I mean, I think that the sentiment towards this game is, I think kind of, we all feel similarly, just to differing degrees of forgiveness for this game. First half was amazing. The first half was really, really, really good. And this is just it's very much a game that tripped at the finish line. Because we've all been saying half, like we played the second half of this game, but we really played like the last third or a quarter of this game. And this was where it was a mess. And so, Ethan, like you said, it seemed a lot longer because we were replaying parts over and over again. And so if we just cruised through it like we did the rest of it, this would have been a quarter of the game. And it tripped at the finish line. I gave it a 7.5 last time. I got to drop it to a 6.5 because it's like great setup, just couldn't stick the landing.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be... I don't remember exactly what I gave it the last time. I want to say I was like an 8.
I think you were an 8.
And I would probably drop it down to a 7. If not, yeah, probably just a 7. Yeah, and it's just, the story did not stick the landing in satisfying a way as you. The puzzles in the final part that we played were not as fun as the ones in the first part that we played. The combat got far more frustrating to a point where it made the difficulty spike. And yeah, it's a cool game. It's a very interesting concept, but ultimately, yeah, the end tripped on the execution.
Yeah, I mean, last time Ethan called it like the definition of a hidden gem, and I was totally on board with that. Even though I was only giving it a 7.5, I was totally on board with that. But I feel like this last part of the game definitely took it from like hidden gem to middling. Like, you know, if you have to stay inside for whatever reason, sure, play it.
Well, no, and that's, I mean, if you're looking for something to play it.
It's not a bad choice.
Don't go crazy if you're just watch the end on YouTube if you get.
Don't expect a masterpiece. It really fools you into believing it's going to be absolutely amazing the entire way through, and for most of it, it was. But like last quarter of the game was so poorly put together that it tarnishes the rest of what should have been an amazing game.
Yeah. The rest of a really solid 8.5.
Yeah, I will say the one nice thing is, like, there are certain games that have, like, a bad ending like this where it's like, okay, like, it wasn't a satisfying ending, but, like, it ended. And then there's games that are like, this is so bad, and like what happens in the story like undoes the good in the earlier bits of the story.
Yeah.
It was not that.
No.
Which is good.
A lot of people seem to think that about Metal Gear Solid 5, but I disagree. So, what are we playing next week?
Well, Ori, Blind Forest.
Ooh, very nice.
But thanks for joining us for this meeting of Game Pass Anonymous. If you like what you've heard, be sure to rate and subscribe. Join us next week when we'll be playing Ori and the Blind Forest. And please check out our other podcasts, HardReset and NoRefunds. And check out ColdNorthPro.com, where you can see everything we do all in one place. See you next week.
Bye.